Hey everyone, we are super excited to be spreading awareness and destigmatizing mental health in the Black and Brown communities.
This podcast is a safe place for us to discuss our adversities and even our shortcomings. We all have a story.
Just remember, no matter what we go through, our story goes on. Hi everyone, welcome to episode 5 of Our Story Goes On. And I hope everyone is having a good week, especially because we just concluded the holiday weekend.
Okay.
Yes. So we have a lot of good stuff that we'll be talking about for today. But as usual, before we get into that, we'll do a little bit of our check-in. So how are you today, Joe?
I am good, actually. I'm about to make a huge move.
Yes.
So I am I'm excited. I made up that word because I'm really excited, but I'm still nervous a little bit.
Wait, say that word again.
Excited.
It's okay. That's a new one. That's a new one.
Excited. I'm like, that sounds. I'm a little excited, but I'm very nervous.
Absolutely.
At the same time, but the excitement is overpowering the nervousness.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I'm the holidays just passed. Over the holidays.
Okay. Over what?
Over the holidays.
Oh, yeah.
Over the holidays, it's very stressful for me.
Mm-hmm.
When you have a big family with so many different personalities.
They do.
So many different personalities and mannerisms. Mm-hmm. It's very draining. It's very draining. I left before Christmas dinner. Yeah, I was like, I'm not coming back. Don't call me. And they called me anyway, and I didn't answer. But you have to do what you have to do for your mental health. You just have to.
No, for sure.
But don't get me wrong. I love my family to death, but they're sometimes you just have to love them for a distance.
Yeah, from just a distance.
Just sometimes though. It's not all bad. It's mostly fun and jokes and stuff like that. But
I think a lot of people can relate to that, though, especially over the holidays. I mean, it's something that many people struggle with in terms of having to go back home or if they're already at home. I mean, but it's still now we're being forced to kind of, not forced, but, to be together, eat, exchange gifts, all that kind of stuff. So I think a lot of people can relate to that.
Yeah, and when you have a lot going on and not enough money to go around for presents for everybody, it's I don't know, depending on your family and how they take those things, it gets a little depressing for me. So it's just I got who I could get presents, and if you didn't get a present, I'm sorry, but I will try better next time.
Right.
It's just I don't know.
But that's okay, though. But, I mean, I think, too, that this move for you, it's definitely going to be really, really good. And we're manifesting all the positive things for you.
Yes, thank you.
Everything is going to work out exactly the way it's supposed to work out. And it's going to be amazing. I'm going to miss you, but...
I'm going to miss you more, but you know what?
But it's okay. The podcast will prevail. Don't worry.
Okay. Period.
But it'll be good because I feel like everyone I know kind of stays where they're at. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I certainly have never moved out of New Jersey. I was, except for when I was born. I wasn't born in New Jersey, but that doesn't really count. But I have no choice but to kind of stay here because of my license. But in terms of my therapy license, I mean, I could go ahead and move to a different state if I really wanted to, but the process is a little bit more complicated than just, upping and leaving. You have to go ahead and apply for a new license in that state and submit all this paperwork and all that stuff. So it's just not what I really want to do.
Mm-hmm. And you's married now. You have to make sure
that's true.
Discuss.
I can't just up and leave. I do have a husband now. So I'm like, do you want to come with me? Should we move?
Yeah.
So I definitely understand where you're coming from.
Yeah, but I'm just excited for everything to come. Honestly, I feel good, but in an eerie way. Honestly, but yeah. Enough about me, Cynthia. How are you doing?
I'm good this week. I mean, like I said, Christmas was just this past weekend, and it was good to be with my family. I'm kind of the opposite of Joe. I'm not saying that Joe isn't excited to be with her family. That's not what I mean. But you guys all live close. That's the problem. Like for me, my parents live an hour and 20 minutes from me, and so do my sisters. So when we all get together, it's like I was super excited to just be with them and hang out with them. But don't get me wrong, my family is certainly not perfect. There was definitely like me rolling my eyes a couple times at my dad. Like, let's not do this. Let's not talk about that. Okay. Like typical stuff. But it was good. It was good just to be there and get away for a few days at my parents' house and at my sister's house. So it was good. I'm feeling pretty good, and I have off this week from work. Well, my full-time job. I am still working my second job, but I told myself that I am only doing one session a day, Monday through Wednesday, because I had this notion that I wanted to do, because my second job, it's in-home therapy, and I was trying to do all my sessions in one day, which for today, and to try to just get it over done with. But I'm like, you know what? No, I don't want to do that. I'm just going to split it on each day. Like one session today, one session on Tuesday, and one session on Wednesday. So that way I still feel like I have time to do other things. Because they're 1.5 to 2 hour sessions. Right. So it takes up a lot of my day because I also have to drive to their houses. It's in-home therapy. So it takes up a lot of my day. So I'm like, you know what? Why am I going to do everything in one day just so that I could have I'm like, I'm not going to do that. So for me, I just feel like that's a lot better. Right. Just to do one session a day. So other than that, I'm glad to have off from my other job at least. So, and then, yeah, so it'll be good. I'm feeling pretty good. That's good. But, so for today, we'll be talking about New Year resolutions or goals to help you out in 2022. And I say resolutions or goals because I think a lot of times the word resolutions kind of has like this, not stigma is too much of a strong word, but I just think it's so cliche to say New Year resolutions because they usually fail.
Yeah, it's like making an empty promise to yourself, right. Honestly.
Mm-hmm. So we're trying to change the word here a little bit, but that's what we're going to be talking about today to hopefully help some people in accomplishing their goals and discussing what that can look like and how we could also relate to failing. Right. At those resolutions at times. Okay. So what are some of your goals for 2022, Joe?
I'm really excited because like I'm kind of like I accomplished some of my goals already.
Absolutely.
But one was to move to a new city, start a new job after graduation. Like you guys know, I just graduated, right? Mm-hmm. Work on and execute business plans that I have. Get closer to God, and also hustle. Like I'm a hustler. Like I really love to work and like work hard and like work for things that I want. I've always been that way, but the past, I want to say since 2017, like the onset of my diagnosis, I have not felt the same. Like I feel like I almost psyched myself out a little bit with things that I wanted to do and things that I felt like I could accomplish, or things that I felt like I couldn't accomplish because I felt like I have a mental health issue now. Like this is like my life, and it doesn't have to like take it. You don't have to let it take over your life to the point where you're like, okay, I can't do anything. Like I have to worry about my medication. I have to worry about being around my support system. I have to worry about like, don't ever let something like your mental health issues like stop you or hinder you from doing things that you want to do, because at the end of the day you're still a normal person. You just experience things at a different like
pace or different rate than maybe someone who doesn't have a mental health diagnosis,
right? So I did like put a halt on a lot of things. Like I was speaking to one of my friends and she was like, I want you like before 2017, like I want the Joe before 2017, like the one everyone wanted to be around. You were always working, like you were just a hustler, like you know, like you exuded positive like energy. I was like, dang, I'm negative now or something. And she was like, no. She was like, no, I'm not saying that, but you have just become very reserved, almost like you're always in your head. And I'm like, I resonate with that because I am always in my head. I'm always like, okay, well, I'm like, I experienced depression, so like I can't like, I don't know, like I'm scared of doing this, or like maybe if this doesn't work out, I'm gonna feel it deeper because I experienced depression. That's how I psych myself out a lot.
And that's also tough to say too, because I'm sure hearing that also makes you feel a little upset. right? Like comparing 2016 Joe to how you are now, right? And I'm sure your friend meant well, saying that, like trying to encourage you, like remember when you did this, or remember when you did that, and that for a person who might be experiencing depression, anxiety, trauma, that's hard for them to get back to that place, and then sometimes they don't even want to get back to that place either, right? That's something to think about too. So
yes,
but those are really great goals.
Thank you. My last one is I want to create a routine, because shoot, I'm like, I've been getting up and doing whatever. It's like school's over. I can't do that anymore.
That's so true. Yeah. Yeah. But I think it's important to allow yourself that, especially with that routine, because you're no longer in school, to also get used to being okay to not do everything. You know, like just give yourself like a few weeks to be like, wow, I'm no longer in school. And so now I have the ability to relax. Right. So just try not to put that pressure on yourself either.
Very true. I was like, girl, I was in Jamaica and I'm like, oh my God, I got a paper. I'm like, girl, you just graduated. What are you talking about?
Right. Oh my God. I remember feeling that way, just feeling so weird that I no longer had anything to do in terms of school.
It's like eerie, but it's like, I don't know, it's like really a good feeling. Yeah. But anyway, Cynthia, what are some of your goals?
Oh man. It's kind of hard for me because I don't know. I feel like my goals are always the same every year. But I think one of my primary goals is my house in 2022. Not trying to jinx anything, but my husband and I have been looking for homes and it looks like we found one. So I think the goal for that is just to, because our closing date is supposedly going to be, I say supposedly because I don't ever want to jinx anything, but it's supposed to be mid-January. So the goal for me is to work on that, right? In terms of making sure that it's going to be our home. So I want to make sure that it is something that I put my heart into. And so just really dedicating myself to actually making it feel like a home, because the house that we live in now, we've been renting it for the past 2 years and it's a really nice house, but it's not ours. And even then I still tried making it a home. Right. But even with that, there are things I've definitely neglected in that house. I'm like, well, this isn't mine. Who cares? Not that like it means that we're like destroying it or something, but like I just put some pictures on the walls and then called it a day, you know? And so there's a lot of different things that I want to focus on. That is probably my primary goal, is just making that to be a home. And the other goal that I do have is just to continue to grow and to be self-aware of my own anxiety and my own insecurities. I think just continuing to grow and continue, because I feel that I've grown a lot in my mind in the past year. I've come a long way in how I talk to myself and how I treat myself, and just how hyper aware I am. And so I want to make sure, I want to continue that. I think that's probably like basically I think my goals are really just to make sure I continue and not like falter in a sense of not continuing my growth. And then as per usual, you know, just exercising. But I have been doing really well though. Like I have been doing really well. So for me, it's just more about the continuation of it. And I think that's what's super important about New Year resolutions or goals, is that it's really about, hey, what are you doing today that you can go ahead and continue doing, right? Because that's really, I think, the mindset of, it's like you have to start anew, right? You have to start from scratch. And maybe you're not even really looking at actually of what you're already doing, and maybe you're just wanting to continue on that. You know? Yeah. So, but I think for me it's just mental growth, especially because I'm thinking about becoming a mom soon. So I think I really need to be there for myself mentally before I decide to bring a whole other child in this world. Not other, whole child in this world. So that's a lot of it. It's just a lot continuing with my mental growth. And yeah, you know, I left some people in this year and not allowing them to come back into my life this year or next year.
Period.
Yeah. So
new year, really, new booze.
Right. Right. Yeah. So yeah, that's kind of our goals. But what do you think are some ways that we can keep our goals in 2022, Joe? What are some of the tips that we can start off with?
One thing I definitely want to get across the board is to not be hard on yourself. I think that's the number one thing that kind of psychs everyone out from even like accomplishing their New Year's resolutions or their goals. Like when they don't meet it by a certain time, or they're not actively working toward it. They're like, oh, I'm not doing it right, so I'm just not going to do it. And they just go into another year of just kind of like doing the same thing or being the same person when in fact they do want to change. So for me, it would definitely be discipline and consistency, which was our last episode. We talked a lot about that, but I don't think that like it can be ingrained enough. Like
we're just going to keep saying it.
Yeah, like you have to be disciplined and you have to find like consistency, or you have to find discipline and you have to be consistent.
Right. That's true. Yeah.
Yeah. Like for me, that's something that I struggle with often. Like I am not someone that has discipline. I was just thinking about like going like taking psychology classes, and you know that study where like they put the gummy, like the fruit snack in front of the little girl or something, and she was told not to take it, and the person left the room, and like either some kids took the gum the fruit snack or some kids didn't. Yeah. I'm like, that would be me. I'll be taking that fruit snack because out of sight, out of mind.
Right.
But I'm just like,
and don't tell me what to do. I'll take it if I want.
Okay. And then, like, all I can say though is like, that's how I've grown up to like think though. Like when I set a goal for myself and I'm not seeing it like all the time, or I'm not like thinking about it all the time, it's like out of sight, out of mind.
Right.
So like I can make a goal of like I want to save $10,000 by the end of the year, but then like bills are coming in, like friends are like, oh, let's go out for drinks and like things like that. And I'm just like, out of sight, out of mind. So yeah, I'm gonna go get that drink. But
right.
You have to think like, I have to be disciplined. Like I have to be able to say no because I have these goals that I need to make for myself. And those goals are not only going to put me in a better position, but it could put everyone around me in a better position as well, too.
Yeah, for sure. That's a good point. Like other people, too.
Yeah. So that takes me to writing out a plan and sticking to it. So, I was actually just talking to one of my girlfriends and I was telling her, I'm like, you've always been like very put together. Like I don't feel like you stress about money or stress about anything. And she's like, girl, I stress. All I tell myself is I have a plan and I have to stick to it. Yeah. That's a big thing. She was like, that's a big thing for me. Like once I write down a plan or once I write something down, like I have to stick to it. And I think that that's like a really big point or like a really big like tip to like get accustomed to,
right,
because
writing
like
it out.
Yeah, because when you write it out, it becomes real, right? So not only are you writing it out physically, you're kind of putting it out there into the universe. You're putting it into your energy, like into your mind. Like you're able to actually like see it, like, you know what I mean? So it's like, okay, I have a goal of saving $10,000 by the end of the year, right? So what am I gonna do? I'm gonna write down my goal of saving down $10,000 a year, and then for every month, I'm going to write down how much I need to save to get to my goal. Right. Or every week, how much I need to save to get to my goal or something like that. Like, things like that where they're like, it's like, I don't know. It's like,
I think I just think that when someone physically writes something out, like you had mentioned, it's just kind of out there rather than just saying it in your mind. Now you have something to refer to. Hey, I wrote down my plan a week ago. Let me now refer back to it because you wrote it down. Right. Rather than just saying, hey, this is what I'm going to do in your brain and then just going about your day. Writing is just has a powerful aspect to it.
Yes, it's like a manifestation tool.
Exactly.
Like there's I'm like always talking about my followers and stuff, but I follow a lot of like people that motivate me to do things,
which is good.
Yeah, her name is Erica J. She is a mom. She actually does hair, but she has her own business and like things like that. But she's been writing things out that she wanted to see for herself for like before she was famous, before she was a YouTube star, like things like that. Like, and like now that she has like reach all her goals, like she makes millions of dollars. She like made a business for her daughter who she just had, who like reached $100,000. I'm like, that's amazing. You know what I mean? Like things like that. And she always posts like, this is what I wrote back in 2015, and like now I'm looking at it and I can see like the fruition of it. Like that is like huge. And then you'll also be able to look back and be like, oh my gosh, I wrote this down, I actually accomplished it. Like I actually did it.
For sure.
Yeah. And another very important thing is like remembering that it's not always gonna be easy. Like we've gotten so accustomed to like comfortability and even comfortability in like distress.
Yeah.
Like not being able to pay your bills or not being able to do things that you want to do. Like we've gotten so comfortable with that it's like it's hard for us to go out and like work now, right? It's hard for us to like go out and like go to the gym or things like that. Like it's not meant to be easy. Like when you want to take yourself to another level or like to a different like body like shape or something like that, or like you want to graduate from college, or like whatever the case is, you want to start a business and scale it to like 100 I'm saying 100 figures, 6 figures, or like
a lot of figures.
Okay, like you want to be a trillionaire, be Jeff Bezos. Like you're going to have to work for that. Like that's not something that comes easy. And I'm not saying that there's not people in the world that don't have trust funds.
Yeah,
but
let's be real.
Okay, but for Black and brown people, we have to work. Like that's just what it comes down to. Like we have things to prove. Right. There's so many statistics against us that it's just like, people kind of expect us to not do anything. Like they don't expect us to prosper. They don't expect us to be successful. They don't expect us to like kind of rise above our circumstances. They do not expect that.
Rise above our circumstances. I like that. Right. It's like those expectations that people have of people that are of lower income or of struggles or of trauma, anything, right? Like just those unfortunate circumstances in a person's life. It's like, right, exactly. It's just those expectations.
So like, you just have to remember it's not going to be easy. Like there are days where you're going to want to give up. There are days that it's going to be like, oh my God. Like, let me tell you, like I used to be crying on my way to class. Like, why do I have to do this? Like, oh my gosh. Like, I just want to lay in bed. But like, if I didn't like push through those days, or like those days where I didn't feel like showing up, like I would not have gotten to the finish line. And like when you're in the middle of something, or like even at the start of it, the finish line looks so far, but you have to remember, like if you keep going, even if it's like I know said something about like adding like working on something for a couple minutes or something like that, or like just like, perfect example, if you want to read a book and you read one book, like 10 pages.
Oh, that's a goal of mine. I actually forgot about that.
10 pages a day. Like that's over, like, I think there's like 3 books or something by the end of the year or something.
Like when you put it in that kind of perspective, we'll get into that too. But that's one of my goals. It's because for me, it's more about reading more in theory books for me as a therapist. Like I really need to start learning again. I've gotten so back to the comfort zone. I've gotten to the point where I've been in this field now for like I don't know, almost 5 years, and I'm certainly not an expert. Right? Like I'm definitely not one, but I've also gotten so used to just day in, day out, this is my work, working with anyone from the ages of 6 to 66, and I've heard it all kind of thing, you know? And so you kind of just get used to that. But in reality, no, I haven't heard it all. And no, I don't know it all. And I never say that I do, but I really need to start doing that a little bit more and just like really reading more. Right. Just going back to kind of school in my own way.
But I think that's also a really good point, because we have to, another thing is like, most of us aren't willing to learn.
Yeah, right. Because I'm like, I was in school for so long. I don't want to have to like open up another book and like read how to be better, but I do.
Okay. Like most of us aren't willing to learn. Like we were like, okay, I did the training already. Like I have my certifications. Like I know what I'm doing. Right. But there's like, you could always transcend your brain, like your mind. You could always like make things better. Like you like, it's just, you know what I mean? So
definitely.
That's another thing. Like, trust me, I'm talking to myself too, because I am like, this year has like, I have to get myself together. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just like, I want more for myself. I want better things to come out of my life. So like, I have to do these things no matter how uncomfortable they are.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. But another tip that I can give people is visualization, and Joe kind of touched on this too. It's that just visualize how your goals will look like or could look like if you actually put your mind to it. So if your goal is to save more money, for example, right, you have to make sure that you're visualizing that in a sense that it's also measurable. So that's kind of like 2 tips in one: visualization and making sure that your goals are measurable. So you're visualizing, I need to make sure that I save $10,000 by December 31st, 2022, right? So you're putting a number to it, which is the measurable part. And then the visualization part is, what is my life going to look like once I have that $10,000? Now I'm able to buy the car that I want. Now I'm $10,000 closer to buying the home that I want, right? So you're visualizing, if you're actually, I mean, I don't know, I'm not good at math. How much is that if you want to save, like, I don't know, of course, depending on your job, depending on like your finances.
Well, I'm gonna get the calculator.
However, like, okay, you're going to put away a certain amount of money per paycheck. Visualize how much better your life will look like for you, because that's your goal. You're visualizing that. And then the measurable part is just putting a number to it. I'm going to save $10,000 by the end of the year so that I could do X, Y, and Z, right? Or I am going to, like Joe said,
it's 833.33333. This is why I don't do math.
Right, exactly. And then I'm going to read for 1 hour every single night, and I'm going to check out a book every 2 months, right? At the library, or buy a book every 2 months, right? So that's the measurable part. It's always good to put a number to things rather than saying, I'm going to spend more money this year, or I'm going to save more money, not spend. I'm going to save more money this year, or I'm going to read more books this year, or I'm going to go to the gym more this year. That is all good and dandy, but we have to make sure that you're actually putting numbers to it so it's just more tangible.
Yeah.
It just makes a lot more sense when you put numbers to it. And then the last thing I could say for the goal, or for the tips to try to maintain your goals for 2022, is to make sure that your goals are for you.
Woo, preach.
And no one else. So if you are looking to lose a certain amount of weight, make sure that it's for you and not for other people, because it won't get you far if you're doing that for a partner, if you're doing that for your family member, if you're doing that for a job. It has to be for you. You have to kind of ask yourself what is important to you. That's really what it is. So just making sure that you find that for yourself, and things will just be better.
Yeah.
When you do things for yourself. So
for sure.
Yeah.
But what do we do when our mental health interferes with accomplishing our goals? I think that, like, you can, like, put things into place. Like, for me, I mentioned that my mental health has kind of, like, deterred me from doing a lot of things that I wanted to do. And when I find it harder to, like, accomplish school or anything like that, like, I write sticky notes of affirmations all around. Like, I am strong, I am beautiful, I'm hardworking, I am ambitious, like, things that I know that I am already, like, apart from my mental health, that things that have nothing to do with my diagnosis. You know what I mean? Like, my mental health technically is not me, almost, right?
Yeah,
it's just
true.
Things
it's
that
just a part of you.
Yeah, things that have, like, I have experienced has kind of, like, put me in a position where, like, now I'm just sensitive to certain things. I'm sensitive to stress. I'm sensitive to sadness and, like, things like that. Like, that's what it comes down to. So I have to just remind myself, like, I have to put in my brain and visually see it. Like, I am strong. Like, I can do this. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
Also, my girlfriend, my boo, I love calling Cynthia and just talking to her about things that I have to get done, and, like, things, like, I love doing that. Like, she always, like, puts me in a, like, better space. You know what I mean? Even, like, with my girlfriends, Sierra, like, that's my right hand. Like, they always speak life into me and, like, just tell me I can do everything, every and anything, and that's really important. And vision boards.
Vision boards.
I had a vision board, and I just cut the pictures out of the
magazines. Yeah.
And then my little sister finished it for me, but she did it in such a beautiful way that, like, when I woke up every morning, I saw that. Like, I saw, like, places that I wanted to go. I saw what I wanted to accomplish, and, like, how I see myself, right? So before I knew it, I was accomplishing stuff, like, off of the vision board. I was just like, oh, okay. My car, right? I had my car on my vision board. I got my car.
Yes,
like,
girl.
I have my graduation cap on, not my graduation cap, but a graduation cap.
Yeah, a picture
like,
of.
Yeah, and I graduated. So, for me, it's just like, once you see it, you feel it. Like, it's already in the air. Like, you can claim it. You can, like, it's just, you just attracting all the good stuff. Like, just attracting all the good stuff.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Yeah, no. I mean, that's good. And I think a lot of this, too, with the mental health is that often people aren't ready for change. right? And then societal views and perspectives or whatever tell you that you need to change. New year, new me. And then often people are not ready for that change. And that leads to increased negative thinking, anxiety. And the negative thinking comes with, I'm a failure, I'm not good enough, I can't do this. And the anxiety comes from having all that pressure on you. And then that will then affect your mental health, which will most likely then tell yourself, I'm not doing this. And then you just kind of give up by, I think like statistically, I've read that by January 18th, New Year's resolutions are already done and over with. Like people give up. So all of these tips will hopefully help you guys accomplish things in your own way and put yourself into a different perspective and make sure that you're able to do what you need to do.
Yes.
Yeah.
And don't forget, how you feel about yourself is what you will do.
Exactly.
Like how you feel about yourself shows your behaviors. Like
exactly.
If you don't think highly of yourself, you're not going to move highly. Like, what am I trying to say? You're not going to move thinking like I'm a queen or something. Like I wake up, my phone tells me that I'm a queen.
Oh my God, it really does. Whenever she puts the charger in.
Okay, Joe is a queen. And I have to tell myself that. Like, I have to move that way. That's how I have to move.
Absolutely.
But listen, new year, new me. I'm just kidding.
For real though.
No, okay.
But yeah, just in hindsight, we hope that these tips will help you guys. And again, I know this is super cliche with the resolutions, but hopefully this perspective changes a little bit and it allows you to think differently. That's what Our Story Goes On is for.
Period.
Right? So at that note, we are going to close for today and we're going to give our affirmation. So what's our affirmation for today, Joe?
My future is dependent on me, not my past.
Period.
Okay.
All right. So with that, we hope everybody has a great 2022 New Year.
Be safe.
Like, yes. Oh my God. Be safe out here because the COVID-19, bro. So we got to make sure we're safe, but we hope everybody has a great New Year's Eve. Stay safe.